Good morning. Welcome to our house on this foggy Wednesday morning. We had a good response to that first meditation we did, and so I'm grateful for it. And I'm good to hear from as many of you who left comments. If you really would like to do that, um, you can do that on Facebook at the bottom of the video. Marianne and I are still hanging around the house trying to do our part to stay inside so that we don't catch this virus or carry it to somebody else. So here we are on this next production, and I've got the easy part doing the talking, and Marianne's trying to get the camera and lights and all that kind of stuff straight. And Ashley and Chris Reed from the church are doing all the techie stuff, and I appreciate that from them. I don't know whether you know this or not, but Marianne and I have just come home from a trip to Florida, and this was going to be the day that we got back. But we had to cut our vacation short by about a week and pulled into the drive only last Thursday. And we thought about that loss of a week's vacation, and on the way home, we realized how trivial that was compared to all of the people that we encountered on the way back. We encountered waitresses and motel workers and mothers with children, all of them watching their incomes, at least the fear of watching their incomes dissolve right before their eyes. It's hard to comprehend what this virus is doing and what all of our preparations are. It's hard to comprehend and take in the loss. And for our neighbors in Dayton, this virus comes on the heels of a tragic mass shooting in downtown Dayton not long ago, and then a devastating tornado that came through and wiped out so many homes and livelihoods, and now this coronavirus. So we feel for their loss as well. And the loss of a week's vacation is nothing compared to what many of you are facing. And so as I pulled into the drive just the other day, Thursday, coming home, I almost missed a cluster of purple crocuses that are just blooming their hearts out at the front of the driveway, right there by the house. Sometimes those things almost get by us, or they do me. And when the losses are so big in particular, it's hard to see the blooming things, the crocuses. Besides, they're so small, but yet they're trying to tell us something. If they could talk, I think they would just try to tell us that it's their very presence, that it's a testimony to hope, a testimony to some deep understanding in the makeup of the universe that life is really stronger than death. And that crocus just dares to show up even when winter hasn't yet released its grip. They're so small, but they won't be ignored and they won't be silenced, and they do it year after year after year and spring after spring. Now, I'm not naive enough to suggest that the crocus is really courageous and tenacious in themselves, but there's something that God has built into the universe that says that life always insists on showing up in the middle of our darkest and our most unlikely times. But like the crocus, it's so hard to see, and I understand why it is, and it is for me. So I just want to point to you, to the crocus this morning. If I could do that, literally and figuratively, if I could point you to the crocus and let you see, give your heart and your mind a break from the bitter weather around you, from the bad news and all of the worry, and turn your attention for just a few moments to the tiny purple crocus. And I want to tell you that the one thing that we can do for each other, not just for ourselves, but for each other, is point each other to the crocus. Amelia Robinson writes for the Dayton paper on Sunday, and she was noticing the crocuses in her yard and the daffodils that are coming up, and she said and mentioned in the paper that last spring a 16-year-old boy with super baggy pants saw her tossing mulch around her flowers. And that boy said, "I like your yard. It looks like Easter every time I walk by." We should look like Easter every time people walk by. We're in the middle of Lent, It's a season of waiting. It's dark, it's overcast, it's cloudy, it's cold. But if we have the eyes to see, all around us are those tiny little reminders that the full bloom of Easter is on the way. There's a phrase in the 30th Psalm, just a short phrase in the middle of that whole psalm. You might want to read it later. But the phrase is this: weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. That's my word to you. It's my offering of a purple crocus. Morning's coming, friends, and you can count on it.